everyone, and welcome to World of Darkness News, the special episode in which we celebrate a lot of the community created content, starting from Vampire Gem winners. Entalto Studios joining me today, Enrique from Entalto, the developers of Heartless Lullaby, the game which won Vampire Gem. Today available on Steam as a free game to download in the World of Darkness franchise. We're going to get to know more about how they made the game and what are their plans for the future. But do stay with us after the interview, as we're going to have some really cool announcements for the community creators, and especially those of you who ever wanted to make a Vampire the Masquerade video game. Hello, and welcome Enrique from Entalto Studios. It's so nice to have you here, Enrique. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hello, and thank you for having me here. And hello, everyone. My name, as Otto said, is Enrique Martinez, studio director and writer at Entalto, the developers behind Heartless Lullaby. And we, as we have to say, are a very young and passionate company from the north of Spain, formed by big fans of CRPGs and narratives that only video games can tell.
Amazing. That's a really cool introduction. And continuing with this introduction and talking a little bit about you and Entalto, how did you start your adventure with game development in general?
So you see, all of us who make up Entalto, all the workers and all the associates, we met several years ago when we were still at university. And
Mhm.
since then, since many, many years ago, we started developing games together. And now, as a company with several titles already behind us, we hope to keep growing, keep going, and whatever way down with you. And I remember perfectly well that the first day in class when I met Sergio Jimena, which is now the lead programmer at Entalto, I said to him, "Man, we are going to develop video games together. I know it for sure."
That's so nice.
And yeah, it happened.
So basically, you guys are not only a game development studio, but also a bunch of friends.
Absolutely, we are family. We are a coterie of sorts.
A coterie of sorts. I really hope not with the usual betrayals and trickery going around when the vampires are around, but it's amazing that you all originated from the uni and being friends together. But you personally, when did you decide that you want to make video games?
Well, it was during the summer of 2014, or maybe a bit sooner, when I played a little game for the 10th or 12th time. You may know it. It was called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's a quite underground game. I don't know if you know it. And yeah, it was my 12th, my 10th or 12th run. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to develop these kind of games. I want to, be part of this movement. And then I played another game called To the Moon, indie game, and I said, wow, this is really what I want to do. I want to write for video games. I want to develop video games. And so I set up my career to develop video games. I started uni. I met all the amazing, wonder people I work with, and the rest is history.
So I gotta say, great taste. Both of these games are absolutely wonderful. Wholeheartedly recommended. And yeah, I do feel a lot of similarities here. Definitely also thought that game industry is the best place ever once after I played Bloodlines. So super happy that this started your path. And eventually it led you to Vampire Jam. Now, did you have
Yes.
any experience with game jams in general before Vampire Jam?
With jams in general, yes, we had. I mean, it was not our first jam by any mean, because over the years, we always by chance, we had the opportunity to participate in one way or another in several. Here
Mm-hmm.
in Spain, we tend to gather in places to these kind of jams, the Global Game Jam, the Zaragoza Game Jam, which is my hometown. And not many jams, I gotta say, but we knew what a jam was. We knew the work involved and what it's entailed. And even though we never had participated in such a long one, lasting a whole month, we had previous experience with shorter jams, like a weekend or so.
Yeah. So one day you found out about Vampire Jam. How did you find out about it and what was your reaction?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, the Vampire Jam took us completely by surprise, but it came like a bolt from the blue. I mean, just the day before you announced it, we were having a drink
Hmm.
discussing the next project to develop. Because I remember that I brought up one of my favorite games, which is Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, the
Mm.
2000 game, the old game that I absolutely love. And I threw out the question to the table of what if we try to get them, the people at Paradox with the license or the people at Activision, and what if we try to get them to let us remaster this game?
I
And
see.
we all agreed that that would be great, that'd be amazing. But as I said, just the next day, the Vampire Jam was announced. And we said, I mean, if we ever want to do any vampire content, showing at this jam that we know how to do it is the number one goal. And we went for it all the way.
Perfect. And of course, you seem to be definitely prepared. You were prepared at the beginning of the Vampire Gem when it comes to the lore knowledge, because you've
Mm.
played Redemption, you've played Bloodlines, so you had that knowledge within you. But what about your team? Did you have to convince them into World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade, or were there more players in the studio, maybe some storytellers?
Thing is, absolutely all of us at Entalto are huge fans of World of Darkness, and in particular of Vampire the Masquerade. I've personally been a lifelong storyteller, a forever DM, some
Hmm.
might say, and I think I've been able to read nearly everything, at least vampire related. But there is more. There is the funny and the loving part. All of us in the company have been playing the same ongoing chronicle for the last 5 years.
Five
Lots of
years.
characters. five
Wow.
years of campaign. Yeah, we started actually in Dark Ages.
Hmm.
So you see, the game has been evolving. Lots of characters, situations, and of course, the thing that I love the most about the World of Darkness is the ability to blend multiple settings into one. So in our Chronicle, Vampire the Masquerade, World of the Apocalypse, and even Changling the Dreaming are part of the game.
That's so cool. So, when you decided to participate in Vampire Jam, did you take the experience from your chronicle into it as well? Did you want to incorporate some elements from your personal roleplay? Or how did you decide what kind of a game you want to make?
Mhm. So the type of game came very naturally to us. I mean, it was only a few days after we had finished the game we're developing at the time. That was a party game that's coming out very soon, by the way.
Hmm.
And we all sat down and started discussing what we wanted to do next. What kind of games do we really wanted to make? And of course, we were all sure that we wanted to do what we always loved the most: deep narrative experiences on RPGs.
Yes.
And when the opportunity presented itself with the jam, we said, let's go for it. Let's make the game of our dreams. And we took certain things out of our chronicle. For example, the way we portray the conflict between the human or the vampire and the beast. The
Hmm.
beast in Vampire in 5th edition and in older editions is like something very primal, something very natural, embedded into the core essence of the vampire. But we always take it a step further. And the beast is like this dark thing that's a dark reflection of yourself, always trying to break you and to make you the monster that you really deep down you are.
Yes.
So we took that into Lullaby, and we also took certain characters and certain situations that you may have already discovered you play Lullaby, or they may have hidden in plain sight because they are quite mysterious and quite obscure.
Yes. And honestly, when I was checking all the Vampire Jam games, I've done this little kind of lecture before the Vampire Jam started on how to make a game in just 1 month, because for a lot of people, it might have been the first game they've made. And I've seen various genres, various like attempts to do different, absolutely different games, strategy games, visual novels. And when I saw a narrative RPG experience, kind of in the style of Wastelands or Disco Elysium, which Heartless Lullaby seemed to be, I was like, this
Mhm.
is impossible. How are they going to do this in just 1 month? So, what big of a challenge that was for you, and what obstacles did you meet on the way when you were developing?
Well, first of all, this wasn't our first game,
Of
which
course.
is already a huge stepping stone when talking about development. We
Yes.
knew how to scope, we knew how to cut corners, we knew how to do certain things that for newcomers are still unknown. But this was our first proper RPG, so we had to start from the ground up, really recalculating the scope. And fortunately, we did it correctly. We did it good enough. And
And that's a
the
big,
next
big feature, actually. It's so difficult to scope the game
it is,
correctly, even for
it
people
is.
experienced in the industry.
I mean, scoping a game is the first thing you ever have to do when starting a new development, and it's always wrong. It's always badly made the first time. Once you have scoped 10, 15 games, then you start getting the hang of it. But it's a form of art. It's
Yes,
absolutely
definitely.
not easy.
That's why producers are the biggest magicians
Yes,
of the
yes.
whole game
Uh,
industry.
I
Um,
wanna give a shout out to our producer. Absolutely, absolutely loving individual and the best producer ever, Jorge Chueca.
Awesome. Thank you so much, the producer of Entalto, for really leading the team so well during this month. So you say you haven't actually stumbled upon any bigger obstacles during that month? Or was there any moment when you thought, oh my God, we actually have to cut something?
We had one obstacle,
Hmm.
and so to speak, and it's that most of the team had taken a week's holiday before we even knew we were getting into the jam.
I see.
So the jam lasted for the whole month of November, and I remember half of the team missing the jam because of holidays, but we managed to organize ourselves properly, and in the end everything went as supposed. No stress, no crunch, respecting holidays, respecting the resting days, and we didn't cut anything out of the game because you see, the original game was going to be 15 minutes long.
I see. That one's much longer, actually.
15 minutes long became 1 hour and a half
Yes,
with
that's amazing.
cinematics, side quests, environmental storytelling, and lots of characters. So instead of having to cut things out of the game, we put more things into it, and we were quite happy with the end result.
That's
Quite
great. And
happy.
also, huge kudos for keeping your team's morale up and making sure that you do not crunch for the game jam. It is absolutely, like, for a lot of people, a normal thing to crunch for the game jam and trying
Hmm,
to, like, skip sleep in order to get more things crunched in this time. But having participated in many game jams in the past, you can still do amazing games if you work normal work hours and do not skip sleep. And I think Heartless Lullaby is a very good example of that. So huge kudos.
thank you.
Now, I have a question about the general genre because you've came up with, as you say, the narrative RPG experience. But how does it exactly play in practice? What is Heartless Lullaby for someone who have never seen it before?
So Heart of the Lullaby, I would say, is about slowly entering in an immense world. And you are something very, very tiny, very frail, a human.
Hmm.
And everyone wants something from you in one way or another. But it's also a world where you are never alone. And Heart's Lullaby, as the name suggests, it's a lullaby, the last song you hear before you go to sleep, the song that takes you to the dark lands of dreaming. And Hearts Lullaby is, if one thing is meant to be a love letter to the fans of Vampire the Masquerade. For years, we've been waiting for a role-playing game where actions have consequences, where the world is deep, with this deep and magnificent lore of the setting is reflected in a sensitive and elegant way, without
Hmm.
forgetting its roots, but also embracing change. Change is good, and fifth edition demonstrated that. So Lullaby also wants to be a new way to enter this world, a way to get to know Vampire the Masquerade, of course. It's a world very, very vast. The world of darkness is incredibly immense, and it can be a bit flattering to see all the content at once. I know for a fact, trying to introduce friends to the setting and already seeing all the books, they said, "Whoa, what is this?"
That's a lot of books.
A lot of books. So if you don't know anything about the setting, it can be thrilling. But we
Hmm.
wanted fans of the genre and fans of the setting and the universe and newcomers alike to be able to enjoy it. So Heartless Lullaby is an intro to newcomers and a reintroduction for the fans. A love letter, our love letter to them.
That's so beautiful. And also, when you explained the meaning of the lullaby in the title, it just dawned on me how perfectly it fits. So that's great. And one thing that I think was super original about your game, and that was immediately something that all of our team members who played your game got drawn into, was the fact that you had two protagonists of the game. You could play
Mhm.
as two different characters, a vampire and a human.
Yep.
Why this decision, and what did you want to convey through this mechanic?
Precisely what I just said,
Yeah.
the difference between newcomers and veterans of the setting.
Mm-hmm.
And because normally we've always seen vampire games represented as you're already a vampire or you've been just turned into one. In the case of Redemption, with Christophe becoming a vampire in the first act, and in Bloodlines in the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
But it's very weird to start out as a human and seeing the world as a normal person does. That's where Zack Riley's character comes in, who is just a guy out partying with his college buddy, I mean, Johnny, and he gets caught up in all of this. But on the other hand, we have Diane, the vampire of the Toreador
Mm-hmm.
clan and child of the Toreador primogen of the city. She already knows what the world of darkness is like and serves to show the player the brutal difference in perception between one and the other. They both live and exist in the same world, but it's very, very different to be cattle and to be kindred, to be kind or to be vampire. And also, it serves to blend the perception. You know, in Don Quixote, the
Mm-hmm.
most famous book in Spanish, the Quixote character is mad and he tries to defeat windmills, while Sancho Panza is his esquire, is very rooted and very grounded individual, and he sees those windmills. At the end of the book, Quixote is grounded and sensible, and he forgot all about the windmills because those were fairy tales, while Sancho has become the mad, dreaming, and loving, fighting those windmills. We want to show this blending of perceptions between a human becoming slowly aware of the world of darkness and a vampire remembering what being a human was like.
That's beautiful. And I think it really, even though as you were always saying, Heartless Lullaby is sort of a prologue. It's only a
Hmm.
beginning. It doesn't show the whole story, but I think it already really well encapsulates that. And the contrast of humanity and vampirism being so important, especially to the fifth edition of Vampire, is really like shown in there, contrasty and vibrant. So huge kudos on that. And you did approach the game jam with a vast experience of previous game jams and also of developing other game on as your studio. What do you think for any future jams, which we may host in the future? What is the best advice to take for people who are starting for the first time, maybe are not very much courageous and brave to enter game jams, need some wise words of advice from the winners? What would you tell them?
Only two things. The first one is scope.
Go.
Learn to adapt the scope, and if you think that something is gonna be great, just the way it's imagined in your head, cut it in half.
Yeah.
If it's still good, then go for it. If it's not good without cutting it in half, think of another thing and embrace the fact that this is a game jam. The most important thing is to finish the game.
Yes.
An idea may be amazing, may be wonderful, but if it's not properly implemented, if it's not finished, it's kind of worthless. And it may not look as good as you had in your head at the end, but it's finished. And that's the most important thing, having games that you can play from beginning to end. And you will feel amazing seeing how your game works all the way through.
Great. And as of today, because you won Vampire Game Jam, you won the chance for the game to be available on Steam as a part of official World of Darkness franchise, next to Cotteries of New York, next to Bloodhunt, next to all of these awesome games that we are officially
Awesome games.
releasing. Yeah, so you are now, Heartless Lullaby is now a part of this franchise, and people can download it for free from Steam, and people can
Mhm.
play it, review it. But you do mention on the page that it is just a prologue. What would be
Mhm.
your dream future for this game?
Well, If I can say that it is my pride and my pleasure to be able to say today that the reception of Heartless Lullaby in itch.io and social media was such that from Entalto Studios we have started the development of the full game. We promised a prologue and we have started working on what soon someday will become the full game using what was exposed in Lullaby as a base, as
Mm-hmm.
again a prologue, and let me announce then that the full game, is Heartless Symphony, a
Heartless
symphony,
Symphony.
symphony that starts with a lullaby.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's amazing. So we're in very close touch with our team since the victory of the Vampire Jam, and we've been discussing a lot about how this game could really be great as a full game in the future. What are your plans to develop it?
Mhm.
What's the current plan and current work?
All right, so we and the players may expect a full CRPG,
Mm-hmm.
with 10 times more content than in Lullaby, more playable characters, because you love the change in perspective, and we also love to be able to share the different points of view in the world of darkness. Those perspectives to explore a new dark and exciting plot that builds up from what Lullaby set up, that would take you deeper into Zack, Diane, and the other characters. And you already know certain characters of those if you played Lullaby, such as Jackson Cunningham, Regent of the Heartless, Christophe the Vintner, and Louis, the enigmatic top hat wearing Malkavian that speaks in a very, very weird way and references Lewis Carroll and Alice in Wonderland. And right now, let me also say that we are working closely with Paradox to find a publisher
Mm-hmm.
who can help us elevate this dream into the true symphony for the world of darkness.
That would be beautiful to elevate the lullaby into the symphony with the help of the right publisher. I really wish for you for that to happen soon and to be able to bring more news about Heartless Symphony to our audience in the future. Because those of the folks that played Lullaby, I know that it had a great reception, and I've heard a lot of people talking about wanting to play the full game.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I will be definitely crossing my fingers and looking forward to the future of Heartless Symphony. And in the meantime, please let us know where we can follow you and your studio to make sure that we stay updated with everything happening around Heartless Symphony.
Absolutely. Because we are a very, very small company. Our social networks are also quite small, so don't feel discouraged to follow us on Twitter at Entalto Studios and also on Instagram with the same handle. And from now on, we hope to be able to show you little by little how the game is progressing. Although you can see our other projects, which sadly are not related to World of Darkness, but hey, I mean, we are just starting with you guys. And finally, as Outstar said, I'd like to say that Hearts Lava is available on Steam right now. And if you would leave us a review or tell us your comments on Twitter, Instagram, whatnot, we'd be very, very grateful with you all.
Thank you so much, Rinka, for joining us today, and great wishes to your studio. Crossing fingers and holding thumbs as we do it in Europe for the future of Heartless Symphony. Cannot wait to hear more updates about it, and I hope to see you here again in the future. Um,
Thank you so much.
see you and goodbye. And that was Enrique from Entalto Studios, the developers of Heartless Lullaby. I really hope that you enjoyed this interview and you're going to go download and review the game on Steam. Remember that reviews help developers a lot, so I really recommend you to do that. And now let's talk about what is coming next for the community developers of Vampire the Masquerade fandom and those of you who ever wanted to make your dream vampire game. As you know, Vampire Jam happened last year in November and it lasted for a month. It was running under specific rules to make sure that we have a distinction in between the Vampire Jam games and our official licensed games. The rules, for example, stated that the games can be only made in the duration of 1 month And after that time, they can be only developed further in the form of translations, accessibility features, and bug fixes. But the games couldn't be made bigger and better ultimately through more time, as there was a very strict time restrictions. This time restriction unfortunately caused a lot of games not to release during the time of the Vampire Jam. Even though some developers participated, they weren't able to finish their games in time, or some games which participated were cut in content and they weren't developed fully in the way that developers wanted to do that. We knew about all of these cases. We were talking a lot about what to do when it comes to the community creators. There's a lot of questions we receive on a monthly basis from various community members asking us about how can we make our Vampire the Masquerade game? Can we make a free game that is a visual novel, or maybe a dating sim, or maybe something based on our chronicle, something that people could enjoy on itch? And is there something that we can do about that? So we were talking, we were discussing, and let me just say that we do have something for all of those, all of those from our audience that are either making games, thinking about making games, or enjoy playing community games. Introducing World of Darkness Unbound. World of Darkness Unbound is our newest community project, which allows developers to develop and monetize their games using each IO platform. So this is something that lies in between Dark Pack agreement and the official licensing from World of Darkness. Dark Pack, as you probably know already, if you don't know, this is the community program which allows our community members to legally create free content based on World of Darkness. So Dark Pack usually is used for people making YouTube videos or streams or fan art, fan fiction, any sort of a content like this that can be shared for free online. And because of a lot of the issues with the platforms and the releasing of on particular places and the monetization, we never included video games in the Dark Pack, and we couldn't do that legally. But we came up with the new initiative which actually allows for that, World of Darkness Unbound, which is going to live solely on itch.io. So these games cannot be released on Steam nor other platforms. But as long as you release on itch, using World of Darkness Unbound form and adhering to the licensing agreement of the Unbound as the program, you will be able to make any Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition games you want. As for now, Unbound is open for Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition games. If we're going to expand it, we're going to let you know in the future. But think about it a little bit like Storyteller's Vault, but for video game developers, with a better royalty cut. We are taking 33% of the royalty cut from World of Darkness Unbound games, which leaves a pretty cool cut for the developers who want to get their games monetized, or you can of course also release your games for free, and that also works. The rest of the royalty split is for the developer, or you can decide yourself whether you want to spare something for itch. Itch as a platform is super supportive towards independent developers, which is main reason why we've chosen it for this project. You can just basically decide to give some cut to itch or not, if you prefer. So it's up to you. I very much recommend to support itch as a platform as well, because they are awesome for devs to basically do whatever you want and to upload your games in your own pace without having to do a lot of the things that are needed on other platforms. It's way easier and simpler to release your games in there. And this program is of course open for everyone who participated in Vampire Jam, but also to people who didn't and who want to make the games just now and work in your own pace. So we are not imposing any rules of the genres, any rules of the content, except for the fact that it has to follow itch.io code of conduct and our licensing agreement, base it on Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition specifically. That's the support that we're going to give towards it. We are going to showcase some of these games here on streams. We're going to offer some of the games a lot of the social media content and more promotion marketing from our side. We really want to make this a little bit of an incubator for games which may eventually get officially licensed and get higher in the hierarchy of the of the user-generated content to become the officially licensed titles, which, for example, may happen to Heartless Lullaby, which is not a part of what Unbound, as it is released on Steam. But games like this, I think, serve as a very good inspiration for community creators. This project is my little pet project, my child. I am very much happy that we can announce this and work on this further. We would love to hear more from you about what you expect from Unbound and any questions you have. If you want to read more about the program, read the licensing agreement in detail and get to know everything about it, go to worldofdarkness.com/unbound, which is where you will find all the information, or go to worldofdarkness.itch.io, where our Unbound gallery of games or collection of games is going to exist. Already we do have some developers who joined us from Vampire Jam, and I do have a really handy list in here, starting from Praxis, which was the second place of the Vampire Jam, a really cool strategy for XRPG mix where you control your own coterie of vampires and you try to claim Praxis of their city. The Chantry Trails, which is the Tremere puzzler where you try to prove yourself as worthy of Clan Tremere and go through various little riddles that you have to solve. The Game of Elders, which is the card game in which you operate as the elder who has a lot of assets and other vampires under your control in order to survive the longest. Descent, which is the game that is a survival horror, and you play as a human that discovers the world of vampires through a very creepy location that you check. It has a very cool voice acting, and it's one of these games which we know can really develop super well further because of the Unbound. Prodigal, which is, or actually Prodigal, which is the point-and-click adventure game based on Clan Tremere and the relationship in between you, the protagonist, and your sire. And with a lot of puzzles and things that you have to find in a very LucasArts traditional point-and-click adventure style. And finally, the Autumn People, FPS game that absolutely enamored the community with the amazing graphics, animations, and voice acting, with basically the FPS elements after a really cool cutscene with the Malkavian main character. I really recommend to check it out as for now because it has a very nicely developed animations and very good work put into it already. But all of these games are going to develop further under Unbound, and eventually you will be able to get them in Unbound in the paid versions, which are going to have more content in them. So if you are interested in any of these games, check out Unbound, check out their pages, talk to developers, leave comments. And yeah, you can join Unbound if you want to. Even if you're a starting developer, there are tons of assets available. We do share assets as well on the account section in worldofdarkness.com. You can download logotypes, you can download the assets pack, which contains a lot of content that Vampire Jam developers were using as well in their creations. And we do think about expanding this further. As for now, you can check out Discord for Darkpack, which is right now evolving into World of Darkness Creators Discord. I'm going to link it in the chat as well as under the YouTube video if you're watching us on YouTube. And with that, you will be able to check out the community content as well, because people are sharing free assets there as well. We really invite you to participate in the Unbound if you want to. This is yet another program for the community creators after Darkpack, after Storyteller's Vault. I think Unbound is going to open us to way more amazing community content, and I would love to be of help in any way. This is something that is super close to my heart. I came from Vampire Jam 2019, where I've made my own vampire-based game in just 7 days. So that's something that since then it's been in my mind. It would be amazing if people were able to legally make these games and put them on itch. And now it's legal. Now it's fine. So please do check out the program. Let us know what you think. And I hope we're going to have a lot of super cool games coming out of this. Eventually, hopefully, coming into full license and being shared in other platforms as well. World of Darkness Unbound. We're going to move on to other news as for now, but if you have any questions, let me know and ping me on Discord. And the last news for today, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt releases next week. We cannot wait for coming back to Prague and dealing with the Inquisition and dealing with other vampires. More to come. As for now, the news are that the April 27th reserved the date for PC and PS5 release. If you check out PS5 store, if you want to download the game, you will see the Founders package, which is paid. You, of course, do not have to buy the game in order to play it. The game is free to play on all platforms, but PS5 has the Founders Edition, which additionally gives you a lot of super cool outfits. So if you want to start the game with super cool merch dressed on your vampire and the super cool samurai mask, which is part of the Founders on PS5, then you can grab the package, but you don't have to. You can still play the game for free. And I really hope to see you next week in Prague, where you will be able to Diablerize me, or I will Diablerize you. Well, that's just how it goes. We're going to talk more about Bloodhunt next week, but in the meantime, let me jump into Vamily Spotlight with Hadi. Hello, Hadi, and welcome to Vamily Spotlight. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. It's super warm in Stockholm today, and it's very sunny and nice, which is horrible for vampires, but you know.
It's also horrible for people with allergies like myself.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I am recently just having a stuffed nose every single time I go outside. So that's the thing about being a Finblood. You still get allergies.
That's what it is. That's, I always
Yes.
forget, because I'm so mortal. I always forget that I'm a thin blood. I have so many good merits.
Exactly. Speaking of Finbloods, vampires, and others, we do have plenty of content to check out today. Let's start from the left. What do we have here?
Well, I love showing new shows, new actual play shows that are coming onto Twitch and stuff. And this one particularly caught my attention because it's Frontier by Night. So it's sort of taking place late 19th century, excuse me, when a lot of Americans were heading west in the caravans, the Oregon Trail type of thing. And this is apparently vampires. And I think that's super cool.
That's awesome. And we can check it out on twitch.tv/Synesia. It was the first episode was aired on April 9th, so I do assume that there are more episodes available right now.
By now, yeah, probably.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. I'm definitely going to check it out.
And it's also noob friendly, so people who don't, know the V5 rules, they will be explaining them while they're playing, and that's what it says.
That's super cool. I love, even though, even when you know the rules, it's still good to have a reminder sometimes, because some people don't use all of the rules of the mechanics in the play. Like, in Vain Pursuit, we used take half and stuff
Take
like
half,
that.
yeah.
Yes, which a lot of people just skip on rules like this. And it's always good to have a reminder that you can still use them to make your game easier if you want to.
I love doing take half. My players never ask for it though.
I actually do ask for take half when I'm like on high hunger. It's just something that
obviously.
it's much safer to do instead of like risking more messes and bestial failures. But then again, it's sometimes fun to have messy criticals and bestial failures.
my players like the messy criticals and the bestial failures. They love it. So.
They love when you torture them. Of course they do. All right. So what do we have here with Jorgamura Game Nights?
So Miro, the whiteboard's doing this weird thing where now it's not embedding links from YouTube anymore. I don't know why.
Okay.
So if you click on it and click source, it will take you to this really awesome TikTok that was Vampire the Masquerade channel was tagged in.
Oh, it's here. All right, let me check it out. Wow. I want this night. I want to participate in this night. I haven't had this kind of a classic role-playing over the table thing since Vain Pursuit. I miss it so badly.
I've never had it.
Never. We gotta do it one day.
I'll just hop over to Stockholm and we'll just go do it there.
I mean, once maybe we're going to get a little bit more out of the pandemic, and it's going to be just easier to hop on the plane and come. Absolutely, we have to do this. It's important. Oh, look at this messy eater!
I know, isn't that great?
She looks a little bit like Veronica.
I know.
That's so cool. But it's a Toreador though. But I
I
love
love
this.
the I don't know what you call that. Pendant, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Little pendant. Love that.
It could be either a pendant or maybe it's a zipper. Like it's the end of the zipper.
It could be a zipper. That's amazing. I hope it's a zipper.
And now I'm going to submit a request for merch with
Yep.
like angs on the
Yes.
zippers because it's so cool. No, it will be
Yes.
really, really awesome. And a very, very cool drawing. It's very hard to draw people from profiles. I always fail doing this correctly. So kudos for drawing a proper profile because it's really difficult. It's really hard.
Hey, you hear that, Blood Praxis? That's kudos for you from an actual artist. Which
Yes.
I wouldn't even know that that's hard to draw. Everything looks hard to draw to me.
It's like, I mean, everything is hard to draw, but this is particularly hard to draw. Hands, feet, and profiles are the worst.
Okay.
So Blood Praxis, very good job. I want to go up in here now to show you something that's actually got very, very much like tons of likes and tons of retweets from our community. I've seen it on Discord, I've seen it on Reddit, I've seen it in many places, on Facebook, on Twitter, and these are the mood boards by Fia. Fia, who also made the discipline cards that we featured earlier, and some other Storytellers Vault stuff that we had on the show. But these mood boards, Tia even mentioned that might seem obsolete as there are already mood boards for the clans, but I feel like it's always great to make new ones. Like never enough mood boards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Should absolutely do mood boards through your own lens of the clans.
yes, and I love mood boards in general. So the more the merrier. And this is something that my friend, who is a huge fan of Clan Tremere, sent it to me. Like the first one, the mood boards on the top, which represent various houses of Tremere clan, with House Tremere on the very left. Then we have House Karna, House Ipsissimus, and House Garatrix. And I love Ipsissimus. It looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Theo in the Discord, in the Dark Pack Discord, which everyone should join, who wants to make cool stuff like this, was designing the Goratrix one and how much time and care they put into actually designing it, and not to mention the mood board itself.
Yes, it's wonderful. And the quote for Ipsissimus, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery." It's just something that really speaks about this particular house to me. And there are also the clan mood boards for Gangrel, for Bruja, and for Banu Hakim. You may find more of these mood boards on this Twitter at Varishan. But something I want to say about the mood boards is how this kind of like envisioned in me how much pink and violet fits Bruja. It never like appeared to me
Yeah.
beforehand because they were also always like this red, orange, fiery clan. But it just like it fits so well. For some reason, pink is like a really good color of rebellion in some way. So I love
It is, yeah.
yeah, so it just like the color scheme for Bruja, although original very much like normally associated with Toreador more, or even Tremere, I feel like it
Tremere,
fits
yeah.
so good. It's
It's
awesome.
it's gorgeous, and I absolutely love the Banu Hakim mood board. I want to see more Banu Hakim stuff.
Yes.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite clans, and it's just the classic, scale symbol and do judge people. That made me laugh.
That's so good. The judge people, that's my favorite. I love it. So good. No, I absolutely love these, and so you can find more on at Varishan on Twitter and also in other places because I've seen them posted all around social media. So I very much recommend it. All right, what do we have here from ATL by Night?
Well, this would have been more appropriate if I had known about it during the time of April Fool's Day, April 1st, but I only became aware of it recently. But apparently, for April Fool's Day, ATL by Night or Ellie did an entire episode as a puppet, as a joke.
Let me check it out. Wow! It's the cutest puppet I've ever seen.
I know.
The straw. I need the straw in my life so badly. I'm just going to pause this on this moment with the straw because it's my favorite moment of all moments. Here. This? Oh no! I clicked off, but it's the mood.
It is the mood. It is the moment.
Beautiful. Loved it. Also, it is not easy to operate such puppets. So huge kudos.
No,
Yeah.
that was a lot of commitment for a one-time thing, and props to them. Totally.
Definitely. Great job. Great job. Love that.
Mhm.
Now we have PK Brooks with the idea, I see.
I know you love these, so
Yeah, just you can do the reading.
okay. VTM character idea: Samitsi chiropractor.
Perfect.
That's the whole tweet.
That's the
And you know
whole
what? That the tweet doesn't need any more than that.
Oh. No, absolutely. I love one sentence ideas, and also now I want to play Timothy Chiropractor.
Yeah. I mean, I think chiropractor, surgeon, any sort of thing that requires, getting in there,
Yep.
getting into the nitty gritty, is perfect for us, Mitzi.
What about Sally Monson art? Oh wow.
hmm
You can.
Vampires are allowed to have, sorry, I had to zoom in. Vampires are allowed to have hobbies too. He's just loosening up. It's all fine. And
Damn.
yeah, I mean, if you were a vampire, imagine how many instruments you could learn how to play.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely use eternity for that, just to
Mhm.
learn how to play everything and have a different instrument for a year. And just
Mhm.
like, this is the year of the cello.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this looks great. And also, I love how angry he looks like playing. I feel like he's
No,
playing.
it's just a very intense piece of music.
It must be very intense, but also the red eyes giving me a thought that it could be a vampire of lower humanity and already, succumbing into the beast, and this is the only thing that he holds onto.
Yes.
That's his music. That'd be so
Oh,
beautiful.
I love that interpretation. That's great.
No, beautiful. I love the light. I love how the hand is blurred in the way that
It
indicates
is.
very, very fast playing. So he's like playing very ferociously.
Oh,
It's
what
just
if,
great.
what if he's using some sort of like celerity?
Oh,
Play
maybe.
really fast.
I mean, to play things like Flight of the Bumblebee, you definitely need celerity. It's not possible to play it. I'm sure that there's like some guitarists out there, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, they definitely have celerity. They're just Torator vampires with celerity that enables
Yeah,
them to
obviously.
move fingers this fast. All right, what about Alien Shamrock?
Well, we have Julia Sovinsky from VTM Shadows of New York, all in portrait glory, and I love it. It, it
Yes.
it it completely captures Julia the Lasombra, I think. The
Yes,
face and everything.
I love the cynical expression, the kind of a
Mhm.
what the hell are you doing with my time, my precious time.
Mhm.
I love
The
this.
iconic hair.
The iconic hair, yeah. The style, overall, Julia's style is just impeccable and
Mhm.
very hard to copy. I think one person that did it in a very wonderful way was Natalie Manzurenko in her cosplay.
Mm.
She did a very, very good cosplay.
That's the first person I thought of when I saw
Yeah.
this.
All right, Venus Nights. What do we have here?
This is Venus Knight and Brad Hardwick. Again, you'll have to
Mhm.
click on it, but this is a TikTok that I thought you would find pretty funny.
Let's check it out. When Anarchs debate. That's going to be interesting.
Not necessary.
There shall be no knifing one another. Everybody knows who's in charge. Me. Right? Yes, you. Of course. Of course. Of course.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's definitely
It-
how
it-
it works.
It reminded me of that mood board you made for Anarchs that said something like, a baron is not a prince, okay? Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, Baron is the prince, but totally treat Baron as a prince. Like,
Right,
that's-
exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly. And Anarch's like, we're all free, but somebody still has to be in charge, right?
Yes.
And it's me, right?
And now let's go to my absolute favorite nickname of all planet on Tumblr, Salubri Apologist.
Yeah. I was like, wait, is this Outstar?
Must be me. Must be my alt account.
Yep.
But I mean, it would all be like obvious if not for the gangrel avatar. That kind of like tells that it's not me.
Well,
But
that's how you hide it. That's how you hide, because
maybe.
they'll find you. So
You're onto me. So what do
the
we
only
have
way you
here?
could have made it a Tremere one, and then that would have really
That'll be
given you away.
that'll be perfect. Celebrity apologies to a Tribute avatar. It just works. What do we have here though?
Okay, well, this one, a little bit sad, a little bit funny. So, you ever ride the wave of a fear frenzy, expect your beast to take you back to your car, end up in the middle of a Camarilla controlled city with not a safe zone in sight before dawn, have to bury yourself below a shit ton of trash in a dumpster, be picked up by garbage men, have your arms slit open by the truck, then wake up midday in the middle of a dump that's actually a thin blood safe house, lost your sword and only have a tiny pocket knife as a weapon. So the hashtags are salubri, so you had a bad day, and things like, and just learning how to art in general. So I had to draw my poor stinky salubri.
Thank you, Salubri, poor boy.
Yeah. That sounds like a
Oh,
very a Midnight Roads chronicle, so that's probably a chronicle that they're playing, and apparently had a very, very bad night.
they have a very bad time, but also
Mhm.
it's lovely, and I want to take care of them and just
Yeah.
adopt them into my little Finbot haven.
Yeah, and I like this because we see a lot of like Nosferatu, mixing among like the impoverished communities,
Hmm.
but Salubri could as well, especially
Definitely.
since they have history where it's maybe they won't be liked or because of their bane of being hunted. So
Yeah. And also, in all communities, no matter what the level of resources there
mhm.
is, there are always some kind of a local leaders. So I feel like all clans, including Ventru, could be interpreted in this way as well.
Don't let any venture hear you say that.
But I'm just saying it would be a pretty cool idea to have the Ventru
I
leader of
agree,
the underground.
but I feel
Um,
like Veronica would have something to say about that.
Yep, yep, I think so. Definitely. We gotta ask her one day. Let's go to Storyteller's Vault. Anarchy in the World of Darkness. What a
Yeah.
really cool cover. Love this.
Well, that is actually a reference. So the name is a reference to the Sex Pistols,
Yep,
the band. So Anarchy in the UK, and even the cover here is a reference to the
the album
cover.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah, which it's something like "Forget About the Bollocks" or "Don't Mind the Bollocks." I don't remember what the name of the album is, but
Yeah.
it's perfectly recreated here, which I absolutely love.
Awesome.
And this is from Chris Jones, Anarchy in the World of Darkness, a complete guide to anarchs. So conceived as a companion piece to the Anarchs book, the V5 book, Anarchy in the World of Darkness looks to get under the skin of the sect, look at all the things that make them tick. Aimed at storytellers and players alike, this book is packed with story hooks, character ideas, guidelines for running cities, and things to inspire your games, with over 130 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
so
deep,
cool.
it is cool. It's a deep dive into how each clan operates in the sect, example SPCs from each clan to drop into the story, dozens of plot hooks. I mean, it's everything you could want. And I love running Anarch games, so it's everything that you could possibly want.
This is actually a really cool idea just for Storytellers Vault products in general, because
Mhm.
as you know, when, for example, Onyx Path, when they released source books like Chicago by Night or Cults of the Blood Gods, because of the business model which often comes with the Kickstarter campaign and the stretch goals, then they are able to make some companion books to these books,
Mhm.
like Children of the Blood or Let the Street Run Red. So basically, these are the companion books to the main source book. And books like, let's say, Sabat, Anarch, Camarilla, they do not have these companions sort of a way.
Correct.
And I think that's a really cool idea for STV, for people to actually make their own source books inspired by this idea. And this is like embodiment of that. It's super cool. It just like dawned on me what a good idea it is.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, that's the one.
Yep.
I
I
need that in my games.
Yeah, I definitely am going to check it out because it seems to like build up from the Anarchs. Anarchs is actually one of my favorite V5 books, just because it has so much content that is just to serve as an inspiration. So many letters, conversations, emails, like little stories that are in this book just specifically to give you the mood of how anarch domains or anarch coteries or anarch groups in the cities function like. So I think there's a lot to build up from that, and you could definitely just open the book on any page, take what it is in there, and base a chronicle out of this. So I feel like it's a really good idea to expand on it with the fun content. So good one, Chris Jones. I'm going to pick it up for sure. All right, and what's going on in the LA by Night world?
Well, always a lot of stuff.
Yes.
But first we have from Freakcore, who is the artist who did a portrait of us not too long ago, if you recall. But this is, of course, Vannevar Thomas, and he is dripping with gold because of the famous "Fill them with gold."
Fill
line
them
from
with
the show.
gold. It's beautiful. I love the color palette. I love the subtle light, the golden frame on the hair and face, and beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So someday I need to go with you to an art museum so you can do that for all these, where I just go, "Ooh, look, pretty painting," and you go, "Oh, I love the detail." That would just be really nice for me.
That was my childhood because my mom is a painter too, and she was just like always taking me to
course.
galleries, and she was like, "Oh, look at this! This is like painted this way, and that it's using this kind of texture." So like,
Please recreate that with me, please.
one day. We gotta do it once I visit Germany.
Sure.
What do we have in Black Hermit Cats?
Okay, I have to zoom in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So this I caught my attention because it says, "Can't forget the love for the storyteller," and that's true. Jason gets all the love as a storyteller. So in the daytime, the people of LA went to work. They reunited with friends and family. They occupied themselves with normal life chores and went to sleep, unaware of the world that awakens at sundown. With that in mind, click. Let's tell a vampire story.
That's so good.
Isn't that so good?
It is. That's so nice. Also, every time I see love for Jason online, my heart just grows, and I'm just so happy. You showed
Yes.
me there was a TikTok recently where people were so happy because Jason, he absolutely browses tons of TikTok and Instagram, and he often leaves likes on people's content, and people were so happy to see that he saw their content and he liked it. But Jason does it every single day. He goes on Instagram, he goes on TikTok, he checks out your content. So yes, if you are doing family content, Jason will probably see it.
We'll probably find it. And
Yes.
and what's so funny is that TikTok started from one person and it's grown.
Yep.
People keep stitching themselves to it. It's grown to all because he's always out there. He's always lurking around.
He's always out there. He's always watching. Beware
But
of
in a
Jason.
good way.
He's always watching.
It's because he's very dedicated to the community.
No, he is
He's
definitely
absolutely
and
fantastic.
I'm always like, Jason, you don't have to do this. You don't like. We are going to cover it like Vamily Spotlight and all the things that we share in here. And Jason just very often sends me stuff, and he's like, well, look at this, it's so beautiful.
I know.
Yeah, Jason is great as that. Really, really cool. And speaking of Jason and the crew, we have more content. Who is that? The author, though.
Oh, I cut it off.
No.
I did not mean to do that. I never do
No.
that. I know.
We
While
can
you
find
read
it.
that, let me very quickly go get that.
I'm going to
back.
read it in the meantime, and we're going to
Yeah.
get the other. Started watching LA by Night 2 days ago, and it's truly amazing. I can watch it with my ADHD and enjoy every moment fully, no problems. That just goes to show how amazing these people are at performing and entertaining. Thank you. That's so nice. And I can only imagine how difficult it might be for some people to watch a show which basically requires your attention like for 3 hours straight. For me, it's difficult as well. I always, like when I watch actual plays, I sometimes watch them on higher speed. Or I basically like take breaks in between. So I only watch half of the episode at once and then I continue. Because ultimately longer episodes are just a little bit less accessible for a lot of people. That's why we are definitely, when we're talking about actual plays, we are thinking about maybe providing more content in the future, but in a little bit of a shorter episodes, like the last season of LA by Night, which had the episodes which were a little bit more digestible. But yeah, I'd recommend if you have any like troubles with watching shows at once, just take breaks, or you can maneuver with YouTube speed if that's something that doesn't bother you too much. Like for me, it's important to change the speed depending on the content I watch.
Yeah, and usually if you change it to like 1.1.25 or 1.5, it really doesn't change the
No,
beat of it that
you
much.
get used to it. Like I get so
Yeah.
used to watching actual plays in 1.25 that when I heard people talking normally, I was like, "What is it? Your voice is different." Like,
Why are you talking so slow?
you're talking so slow. Yeah. So I always just pump up the speed a little bit. But then when I tell it to Jason, for example, I'm like, I always watch everything on 1 to 5. He's like, "What? What are you doing? You're ruining the content."
You're
So
ruining it.
you're ruining it. But watch it however is best for you and however you can enjoy the content. It's awesome. Love this. It's beautiful. So good.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the finished product. That's just the start of it.
Yeah, but sketches are beautiful. I love sketches and love how it looks like. Low C, we have the nickname. It's Low C.
Yes.
Definitely going to follow and check out more stuff that they do in the future.
They've done some Bloodhunt stuff. I know they have. I just don't know where it is, but I've seen it before.
Bloodhunt stuff. We're going to have a lot of Bloodhunt stuff starting from next week. We're going to
Yeah.
definitely feature some clips here and some stuff that people are going to do. Yeah, definitely looking forward to also expanding the Vamily Spotlight with screenshots and work in progresses for anyone who wants to participate in the World of Darkness Unbound, which we've announced today. If you are joining us here a little bit later on, and if you're live on stream, do check out the earlier stream when we do the announcements, because World of Darkness Unbound might be super interesting for you. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Hadi, today. That was super nice.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And do check World of Darkness Unbound on worldofdarkness.itch.io and worldofdarkness.com/unbound. I will see you next week for the premiere of Bloodhunt. And in the meantime, don't get lost in the night, and see you later.